The year was 2091, but not many people celebrated the new decade. The world had changed too much. The sky used to be blue. Now it was often gray. The oceans were rising, cities were drowning. Food was scarce in some places. In others, people fought over water like it was gold. Earth was tired, and so were its people. But even in the darkest corners of the world, life went on. Not just survival, but something more. Hope, ideas, plans. And in one small underground lab hidden beneath the mountains of Colorado, a man named Ethan Blake was building something no one thought possible. He wasn't a soldier or a spy. He wasn't rich or famous. He used to work for NASA, back when space travel still mattered to the world. But after the big crash, the economic collapse of 2078, he disappeared from public life. Some said he died. Others said he went crazy. They were all wrong. Ethan didn't die. He learned how to work in silence. He built his own team. People who believed that Earth could do more than just survive, that humanity could rise again. His group called themselves Project Dawn. Their goal? To build the first human-made FTL engine. Faster than light travel. Something only aliens had done before. It was insane. It was impossible. But Ethan didn't care, because he knew something most people didn't. Aliens were watching us. Watching from afar. For decades, strange things happened in the skies. Lights that moved faster than any plane. Ships that vanished without a trace. Governments denied everything. Scientists called them weather balloons or optical illusions, but they weren't. Far away, in orbit around Earth, hidden behind cloaking tech humans couldn't yet detect, a ship watched, a silent observer. No weapons, no aggression, just watching. Inside the ship, 3 beings sat around a glowing table. They were tall and pale. Their eyes were large. They wore smooth suits that looked like liquid silver. They were part of the Watcher Group, a council of alien races tasked with monitoring young species. Humanity was their longest-running project. "They are violent," said one of the Watchers. Her voice sounded like wind through trees. "Yes," replied another, "but also clever." "Too clever," said the third. "We should report to the High Council." The first Watcher looked at the screen. It showed a live feed of a city burning, riots in the streets, drones dropping supplies that never reached the poor. "Not yet," she said. "They have not earned our attention," and with that, the Watchers returned to silence. Lena Carter sees too much in Washington, D.C., a woman named Lena Carter sat alone in a dark room filled with blinking screens. She worked for what was left of the intelligence community. Her job was simple: watch satellites, look for threats, report anything unusual. She was good at it, too good. One night, while going through old data, she saw something odd. A satellite near the moon had sent images, but those images had been deleted. Or so someone thought. Lena dug deeper. She found a backup file hidden under layers of code. When she opened it, her breath caught. There was a ship. Small. Sleek. Definitely not human-made. She stared at it for hours. Then she ran background checks on other satellites. More files. More ships. Dozens of them. All around Earth. Watching. Waiting. Her hands shook as she closed the laptop. She knew what she had found. She just didn't know what to do with it. She tried to tell her boss. He laughed at her. "You've been working too hard, Carter. Take a break." She tried to send the files to a friend in the science division. The email bounced. Then her access was revoked. Then the men came. Not soldiers, not police, men in plain clothes, calm voices, empty smiles. They told her she was being reassigned. They asked questions about where she got the files, who else knew. She lied, well enough to stay alive. That night, she packed a bag and disappeared. Project Dawn's secret base Lena found herself walking into the cold mountain air of Colorado. Snow fell lightly. The road behind her was empty. She had followed a message. One line. If you want answers, come to the old mining town. Ask for Ethan. She knocked on a rusted door. A man answered. Tall, thin, wiry hair, sharp eyes. You must be Lena Carter, he said. She nodded. Welcome to Project Dawn. Inside, the base was alive. Computers lined the walls. Maps of space. Diagrams of engines. People in lab coats walked between rooms. Some were engineers. Some were soldiers. Some looked like kids who had run away from home. This is impossible, Lena whispered. Ethan smiled. Impossible is just a word people use before it happens. He led her down a hallway, into a room filled with screens. One showed the same image she had found. That's real? She asked. Yep, Ethan said. We've known about them for years. But why hide it? Because if we told the world, they'd panic. Or worse, they'd try to make friends. With monsters. Lena looked at him. What are you planning? We're getting ready, he said, for the day they decide to talk to us. Or kill us. Building the impossible, Ethan's team was small, but they were smart. Driven. They had scientists who once worked for big companies, engineers who had built rockets, hackers who could get into any system, soldiers who had seen war and wanted no more of it. Together, they built something no one else could, a fusion core unlike anything on Earth, a propulsion system based on quantum theory, AI that could learn faster than any machine before it. They called it the Independence. It was not just a ship, it was a message to the galaxy, to the future. We are coming, but not as victims, as equals, or enemies. The world falls apart while Ethan and his team worked in secret. The world outside kept breaking. In 2092, the Nile dried up. Egypt collapsed. Refugees poured into Europe. Governments shut borders. Fights broke out. In 2093, the Amazon rainforest burned for 6 months straight. Air quality dropped worldwide. Children were born with weak lungs. Some didn't survive infancy. By 2094, the United Nations was gone, replaced by regional powers. China, Russia, India, Brazil, and a few African nations formed new alliances. The US barely held together. People stopped believing in the future, but not everyone. Some still dreamed, and some were ready to fight for that dream. First contact, kind of. One night, Ethan called everyone into the main hall. The lights dimmed. A screen lit up. On it was a video, live feed, space, stars. Then, a shape appeared, large, moving fast. Is that? Someone whispered. Yes, Ethan said. It's them. Everyone stood frozen. The object hovered for a moment. Then it blinked out of sight. No sound, no message, no attack, just a visit. They know we're here, Lena said. They always did, Ethan replied. So what now? Someone asked. Ethan looked at his team. At the people who had risked everything. We finished the Independence, he said. Before they come back. The spark ignites. Over the next few months, Project Dawn grew. Word spread through hidden networks, hacktivists, scientists, former military, even some alien sympathizers. They started calling themselves the Terran Defense Initiative. They built bases in remote places, Antarctica, under the sea, in abandoned cities. They trained. They studied. They prepared. And above it all, Ethan and Lena worked on the final plan. They would not wait for the aliens to decide humanity's fate. They would go to them first. Final words. The world was broken, but not beyond repair. Humanity had grown. In shadows, hidden, forgotten, misunderstood, but now we were ready. We were not perfect, we were not peaceful. We were not innocent, but we were strong. And we were not going to let anyone decide our future again. This is how it began. With fire, with fear, with hope, and with a single ship, built in secret. by people who refused to give up. The Independence. The first step toward the stars, and the last warning to anyone who thought we were just prey. The Independence was ready. It sat on the launch pad deep beneath the Andes Mountains, glowing faintly under cold lights. It looked like nothing else on Earth. Sleek, silver, and impossibly fast. Ethan Blake stood near the control room, watching his team move around like ants. They were tired. Most hadn't slept in days, but they were alive, and they were here. This was it. The first human ship with FTL capability. No one knew what would happen when it jumped. No one had ever gone faster than light before. Not humans, anyway. But Ethan wasn't afraid. He believed in what they had built, and he believed in who had built it. The first jump. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch. The Independence shot forward, piercing through layers of rock and ice, breaking free from Earth's gravity like a bird finally let out of its cage. Inside the cockpit, Lena Carter held her breath. Her fingers hovered over the controls. "Status?" Ethan asked from the command chair. "All systems green," she said. "We're clear for jump." Ethan nodded. "Initiate FTL sequence." A hum filled the ship. Lights flickered. Then everything went silent. Then space changed. Stars stretched into lines. The universe blurred. They were moving, faster than light, and no one screamed. Because this was what they had worked for. This was their dream. Virex encounter. They came out of warp near Proxima Centauri. The system was quiet, empty. Or so they thought. Suddenly alarms blared. "Contact!" Lena shouted. "Unknown ships!" On the screen, 3 large vessels appeared. They were dark gray with jagged edges, not human-made. "Scanning," said the AI voice, calm and emotionless. "Designation: Virex Dominion Patrol Fleet." Ethan frowned. "Never heard of them." "They've seen us," Lena said. "And they're not friendly." One of the alien ships fired. The blast missed by meters, but it sent shockwaves through the Independence. Warning lights flashed red. "They want us dead," Lena said. "Then we show them why that's hard to do," Ethan replied. He turned to the crew. "Battle stations. Let's see how good these boys are." Fight or die. The Independence was fast. That was its only advantage. The enemy ships were bigger, stronger, better armed. But they didn't expect what Ethan did next. Instead of running, he flew straight at them. "What are you doing?" Someone yelled. "We don't run," Ethan said. "We hit hard and disappear." Lena took control of the weapons. She targeted the engines of the lead ship. A few well-placed shots and the alien vessel slowed. Then the Independence dove between 2 enemy ships, firing as it passed. It was chaos. Lasers zipped past. Explosions lit up space. Then something strange happened. The enemy ship stopped. They opened a channel. A voice came through. Deep, cold, alien. "You are not registered. Identify yourself." Ethan looked at Lena. She shrugged. He leaned into the mic. "This is Captain Ethan Blake of the Independence, a human vessel. We mean no harm. Just passing through." Silence. Then the voice spoke again. "You should not be here. You are dangerous." Ethan smiled. "Maybe we are." Then he cut the link and gave the order. "Warp drive. Take us home." Word spreads. They made it back to Earth. Barely. The Independence was damaged. Some systems failed. One engine overheated. But they survived, and they brought proof. Proof that aliens existed. Proof that they weren't peaceful. And proof that humanity could fight back. Word spread fast. Not through governments. Not through news. Through hidden networks. Through people who wanted more than just survival. Across the world, new bases formed. Old military groups joined forces with scientists. Hackers shared stolen data. Engineers reverse-engineered alien tech found in old crash sites. Project Dawn became the Terran Defense Initiative, and humanity was no longer hiding. The new leaders in Texas, a former Marine named Marcus Lee led a group of soldiers trained for space combat. He was tough, quiet, loyal. In Canada, a hacker named Deborah Ruiz broke into alien communication hubs. She learned their codes, their frequencies, their weaknesses. In Brazil, a pilot named Carlos Mendes tested captured alien fighters. He flew them better than their original pilots ever did. These were the new faces of humanity. Not politicians, not kings or queens, people who fought for freedom, for knowledge, for the right to exist. The Shadow War begins. The Virex Dominion didn't forget the independence. They reported the attack to their superiors. The response was swift. More ships arrived, more patrols, more watchers. They started hunting humans. But they didn't find them. Because humans were everywhere, hidden in asteroids, buried in moons, floating in abandoned satellites. They struck fast, disappeared quicker. Sabotage, theft, surprise attacks. The Virex called it terror. Humans called it war. The rallying cry one night, Lena stood in front of a live feed. Behind her was the symbol of the Terran Defense Initiative, a rising sun inside a ring of stars. She spoke into the camera. "We grew in shadows," she said. "We were ignored, watched, tested, treated like children." She paused. "But now we rise." The video spread across the galaxy. Aliens saw it. Some laughed, some feared, some watched closely. Because for the first time, a human voice didn't beg for peace. It warned of war. The first colony, 6 months after the battle near Proxima Centauri, the Independence returned. This time, it carried more than just a crew. It carried settlers. Men, women, children. They landed on a moon orbiting a gas giant. No name yet. They built shelters, farms, power plants. They raised the flag of Terra. Not any nation, just Terra, Earth's future, their home. The enemy watches again. Far away, another ship watched. Not Virex, older, taller, smarter. They were part of the Zalari Conquered, an ancient alliance of powerful species. They had seen many young races rise. Most fell, some were useful, few lasted. This one interested them. "These humans," said one watcher. "They are unpredictable," another nodded. "They learn quickly." "They may become a threat," said the third. The leader looked at the screen. The image showed the new colony, people walking outside, children playing, ships landing. "No," she said. "They already are." Training for battle back on Earth, training centers opened. Young men and women volunteered. They learned to fly, to fight, to survive in space. Marcus Lee taught hand-to-hand combat. Carlos Mendes trained pilots. Deborah Ruiz ran cyber warfare simulations. And Lena? She became the face of the movement. Her speeches gave hope. Her strategies won battles. And her eyes never lost fire. She knew what was coming. War. Big war. But she also knew something else. Humanity had been waiting for this moment. We were not going to lose. Radio the message from space one day, a signal came. Not from Earth, from deep space. It was short, only 5 words. "We know what you are, no sender, no origin," but everyone understood. Someone out there had been watching, and now they were ready to act. Like the final words of Part 2, humanity had broken the chains. We were no longer hidden, no longer silent. We were flying, fighting, growing, and we were ready for whatever came next. Because we didn't grow in light. We grew in shadows. And look at us now. The war had begun, not with big battles or loud speeches, with silence, with shadows, with people who vanished into enemy lines and never came back, except in stories told around broken radios and stolen data drives. These were the ghosts of the Lior, or the ones no one saw coming, and they were everywhere. Silent strike. A small team landed on a moon called Orus 9. It was a cold place, no air, no life. Just rocks and dust and an alien base built into the ground like a wound. Inside that base was a communication hub, a key node in the Virex Dominion's network. It sent messages across half the galaxy. If it went down, the Virex would be blind. For hours. That was all the time the humans needed. The team wore black suits made from stealth tech. They moved without sound. Their boots didn't crunch on the ground. Their breath didn't fog the air. They were ghosts. One of them was Marcus Lee. He led the mission. Beside him was Deborah Ruiz, the hacker who had cracked alien codes before. Breakfast. They reached the outer wall of the base. No guards. Too quiet. Something's wrong, Deborah whispered. Marcus held up a hand. We keep moving. They cut through the metal door with a tool that melted steel like butter. Inside, the halls were empty. Lights flickered. No alarms, but something was watching. Then it hit. A trap. The lights went out. Lasers fired from hidden turrets. Marcus dove behind cover. Scatter! The team split up. Deborah ran toward the main server room. She had one job: shut the system down before the Virex could send a warning. She reached the room. Locked. She pulled out her hacking pad. Fingers flew over the screen. Code after code flashed by. Then, access granted. She opened the door. Inside, rows of machines blinked. She connected her device. Shutting down, she said into her comm. Then something grabbed her. An alien. Tall. Thin. Eyes glowing red. It lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. She kicked. She fought. Then, a shot rang out. The alien dropped. Standing in the doorway was Marcus. He pulled her up. You okay? She nodded. Systems down. He looked at the dead alien. Let's go. This place isn't safe anymore. They left. Behind them, the base was silent. No more messages, no more warnings. Only darkness and ghosts. Behind enemy lines back on Earth, Lena Carter sat in the command center. She watched reports come in. More strikes, more sabotage, more victories, but also more losses. People were dying. Good people. But the message was clear. Humans were not afraid. We are ghosts, she said to Ethan. We move where they don't expect us. We strike where they least want it. Ethan nodded. They still think we're just kids with guns. They'll learn. Lena stood up. We need to push harder. Ethan looked at her. What do you have in mind? A bigger target, she said, one that really hurts. Ethan smiled. I like it. Thor's Operation Black Star. Their next mission was bold. They would attack a Virex supply station orbiting a dead planet. The station was full of weapons, fuel, ships. It was the heart of their war effort in this sector. Destroy it, and the Virex would lose weeks of supplies, maybe months. The plan was simple. Fly in under cloak. Drop a team inside. Plant bombs. Get out. Easy, right? Wrong. As soon as the human ship got close, the station lit up. Alarms blared, defenses activated. Someone had tipped off the Virex. The team had seconds. They jumped. Inside the station, chaos. The humans moved fast. One of them was Carlos Mendez, the pilot who had flown every kind of ship known to man and some not. He led the charge. Lasers zipped past. Explosions shook the walls. Carlos dodged, rolled, fired. He reached the main chamber. Big room. Full of fuel tanks, perfect. He planted the charges, set for detonation, he said. Then he looked around. His team was gone. Taken or dead. He was alone. He had two choices. Stay and die, or run. He ran. He sprinted through the halls. Security bots chased him. He ducked. He jumped. He fired. Finally, he found an escape pod. He jumped inside. Launched, just in time. Behind him, the station exploded. Fire filled space. Fuel tanks burst. Metal turned to ash. Carlos watched from his pod. Then he spoke into his comber mission complete. Silence. Then Lena's voice. Good work, Carlos. Come home. The leak that changed everything. While the war raged in space, another battle was being fought on Earth. In cities, in labs, in secret meetings. Hackers worked day and night. One of them was Deborah Ruiz. She had recovered from the mission on Horus 9. Now she was working on something bigger. She had found a file, hidden deep in alien servers. It was labeled Project Purge. Inside was everything. Plans to wipe out Earth, to sterilize the planet, to erase humanity, forever. Deborah read the file. Her hands shook. She copied it, sent it to Lena. Then she sent it to everyone else, every human group, every rebel, cell, every colony. The truth was out. Aliens weren't trying to talk. They were trying to kill us. Humanity fights back. The leak changed everything. Before, some humans still hoped for peace. Now there was only war. People joined the Terran Defense Initiative in droves. Soldiers trained harder. Scientists worked faster. Pilots flew longer. Even those who had stayed neutral now chose a side. Earth was under attack, and we were not going to let them win. The Watchers speak far away. The Watchers met again. They watched the videos, the battles, the speeches, the new colonies. They saw how quickly humans adapted. How? One asked. They should not be this strong, another said. They are not alone, the leader said. They have each other. But they are violent, said a third. So were we once, the leader replied. She looked at the screen. It showed a child drawing a picture of a starship, a smile on her face. This species, the leader said, may become something greater than any of us. Another watcher frowned. Then they must be stopped. No, the leader said. They must be tested. And so, the watchers watched, waiting, learning, deciding. The final words of Part 3. Humanity was no longer hiding. We were no longer waiting. We were ghosts, we were fighters, we were soldiers, and we were ready. The Virex thought they could crush us. The Zalari conquered thought they could control us. But they forgot one thing. We grew in shadows. We learned in silence. We rose when no one believed we could. And now we are at war. But we are not afraid, because we are not just humans anymore. We are something more. We are Terra, and we will not fall. The Virex Dominion was not alone. They were just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Far away from Earth, in a system where stars burned cold and silent, a great meeting took place. It was held by the Zalari Conquered, an ancient alliance of powerful alien species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They called themselves peacekeepers, protectors, but they were really something else. Gatekeepers. They decided who could join the galactic stage and who would be erased before they ever got the chance. The meeting, in a large room made of smooth white stone, leaders sat around a glowing table. Some were tall, some were short. Some looked almost human. Others did not look like life at all. They came from many worlds, each one more advanced than the last. One of them stood up. She was tall and pale, with eyes like stars. I bring news, she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight. The humans have struck again. Murmurs filled the room. They destroyed a Virex supply station. They hacked into our data cores. They are spreading their message across the stars. Another leader, a being of pure light, spoke next. They are dangerous, it said. They do not follow the rules. A third, covered in thick armor, added, they must be stopped. The pale woman raised a hand. We must act, she said, but we must also understand. She looked around the table. These humans, they are not like the others. They grow fast. They learn faster. They fight like they have nothing to lose. And maybe, she said softly, because they don't. Silence fell over the room. Then the oldest voice spoke. It came from no body, only sound. Then we give them something to fear. The ultimatum, a ship left the meeting. It traveled across space. It went faster than any human vessel. It reached Earth's orbit in days. It hovered above the planet like a storm cloud. No weapons fired, no attack came, just a message. Broadcasted on every channel, every screen, every speaker, it said, to the people of Earth. You have broken the laws of the galaxy. You have attacked peaceful civilizations. You have stolen knowledge not meant for you. You will stop now, or we will end you. Then silence. The world watched. Governments fell apart. People panicked. Even some rebels doubted. Could they really win? Could they really survive? But not everyone was afraid. Some saw the message for what it was. Not a warning, a test. Ethan's choice, Ethan Blake read the message in his command center. He sat alone. The walls were lined with maps, plans, old photos of friends who had died. He looked at the screen again, then he turned off the lights. He walked outside. The sky was dark. Stars blinked. He looked up. "This is it," he whispered. Behind him, Lena Carter joined him. She didn't speak. She just stood there. After a long time, he said, "They think we'll fold. They think we'll beg. They think we'll surrender." Lena crossed her arms. "But we won't." "No," Ethan said. "We won't." He looked at her. "We need to hit back." "How?" she asked. He smiled. "We find out who they really are." Into the lion's den. The plan was simple. Too simple. Too crazy. They would go to the heart of the Zellery conquered, to their central data nexus, a huge structure floating near a black hole. It held everything: history, technology, secrets. If they could get inside, they could show the galaxy the truth, that the Zellery were not protectors. They were jailers, keepers of a prison built for young species. Only the ones they allowed could rise. All others were crushed. Ethan put together a team: Marcus Lee, Carlos Mendez, Deborah Ruiz, and a few others. They flew the Independence into deep space. They cloaked. They moved slow, quiet, like ghosts. When they reached the nexus, they docked. No one saw them. No one heard them. They moved through halls of light, through rooms full of machines older than Earth. Finally, Deborah found the core. She connected her device. Data flowed. Everything. Thousands of files. Proof of wiped-out species, stolen tech, hidden wars. She copied it all. Then alarms blared. They were seen. They ran, fought, escaped. Back to the Independence. Back to Warp. Back to Earth. With the truth. The leak that shook the galaxy. Lena stood in front of the camera. She wore a black suit. Her face was tired, but her eyes were sharp. She pressed record. Behind her was the symbol of Terra. She began to speak. "This is Lena Carter of the Terran Defense Initiative. We have proof. Proof that the Zellery conquered has been lying. They told us they brought peace, but they brought control. They told us they protected the weak, but they erased them." She paused. "Here's the truth." She played the files. Images showed planets burning, species wiped out, leaders forced into silence, alien races that had once been free, now slaves. Across the galaxy, the videos spread. On ships, on colonies, on alien worlds. And something happened, something the Zellery never expected. Their people started to question. They started to doubt. Some even rose. Rebels, outcasts, fighters. They saw humanity not as monsters, but as mirrors, reflections of what they could become. The Battle of Epsilon. The Zellery did not take this lightly. They sent fleets, warships, armored soldiers. They attacked a human colony on a moon called Epsilon 3. It was small, unarmed, defenseless. But not for long. The Terran Defense Initiative responded. Marcus led ground forces. Carlos flew support. Ethan commanded from orbit. The battle was brutal. Lasers lit the sky. Ships crashed. People died. But the humans held strong. They used old tactics. New tech, and most importantly, unity. They fought not for land, not for power, but for each other. And when the dust cleared, the Zalari were gone. Defeated, the colony stood, broken, but alive. The Watchers decide. The Watchers met again. They watched the battle, watched the leak, watched the rise of humanity, and for the first time they were unsure. One of them, the same pale woman from before, spoke. They are not like the others. They do not follow the path. They do not accept limits. She looked at the others. They may be ready. Ready for what? To join us. Silence. Then another Watcher spoke. If they keep going, they will change the galaxy. The pale woman nodded. They already have. Final words of Part Buff. The war was no longer just between humans and aliens. It was between freedom and control, between truth and lies, between those who wanted to rule and those who wanted to live. Humanity had grown in shadows. Now we stood in the light, and we were not going back. The Zalari conquered tried to stop us. They failed. The Virex Dominion tried to crush us. They failed. More enemies would come. There would be more battles, more pain, more loss, but there would also be more hope, more fire, more fight. Because we were not alone anymore. We had each other. And we had something the aliens did not expect. Belief in ourselves, in our future, in our right to exist. And now we were not just surviving, we were rising, and we were not going to stop until the stars knew our name. The galaxy was watching. The war had spread far beyond Earth. Battles were fought near dying stars, on moons that never saw sunlight, in places where no human had ever stood before. And now, it all came down to one moment, one place. Earth. Home. The Zalari Concord had made their decision. They would end this. They would erase humanity once and for all, and they would do it with a weapon no one could stop. A planet killer, a ship so big it blocked out the sun. It hovered above Earth like a shadow. Waiting. Ready. And then it began to charge. The final plan. Ethan Blake sat in the command center beneath the Arctic ice. He looked older than he had just months ago, tired, but not broken. Across from him, Lena Carter stood with her arms crossed. She had seen too much, lived through too many battles, but she still believed. We can't let them fire, she said. I know, Ethan replied. So we stopped them. How? She asked. Ethan stood up. We take the Independents and hit them hard. Lena frowned. You mean suicide? No, he said. I mean victory. Behind them, Marcus Lee walked in. I've got volunteers, he said. Most of them know it won't be easy. They'll follow you, Lena said. They already are, Marcus replied. Carlos Mendez entered next. My pilots are ready, he said. We can get close enough. Deborah Ruiz followed. I can hack into their systems, she said. Buy you time. Ethan looked around the room, his team, his family. This is it, he said. We don't run, we fight. No one spoke. They all nodded. Because they knew. This was the end, or the beginning. The fleet rises across the solar system. Ships gathered, not just Terran ones. Alien allies joined. Beings from worlds the Zalari had crushed. Rebels, outcasts, fighters, they flew toward Earth. Together. The largest fleet humanity had ever seen. Old ships. New ships. Captured ships, all flying under one banner. Terra. They reached orbit. The enemy waited. The Zalari flagship loomed over the planet like a god of war. Around it, dozens of smaller ships formed a wall. No way through, unless you didn't care if you made it back. That's when the Independents led the charge. The last flight. Ethan stood on the bridge. He looked out the window. Stars. Earth, The enemy. Then he turned to his crew. "This is it," he said. "We go in fast, we hit hard, and we make sure Earth lives. No speeches, no goodbyes, just action." The Independence shot forward. Behind it, other ships followed. Lasers lit up space. Explosions filled the void. Ships crashed. People died. But the Independence kept going. Through fire, through death, through fear. It reached the core of the enemy fleet, near the planet killer. That's when Deborah took control. She hacked into the alien systems. "Got a window," she shouted. Ethan leaned forward. "Marcus, Carlos, you know what to do." They did. Carlos dove low, flew between enemy ships, fired missiles, destroyed turrets. Marcus led a boarding party, jumped onto the planet killer, fought through aliens, reaching the core, planting charges. Then, an alarm. The weapon was almost ready. To fire, only minutes left. Ethan's choice, back on the Independence. Ethan watched the countdown. 45 seconds. He turned to Lena. "You need to leave," he said. She shook her head. "I'm not leaving you." "You have to," Eeyore said. "You're the future." Her eyes filled with tears. "Don't do this," he smiled. "I have to." He stood up, went to the pilot seat, took control, then he pushed the throttle. Full speed, straight into the planet killer. Behind him, Lena screamed. The Independence hit the enemy ship. It exploded, light filled space, then silence, then nothing. A new dawn. When the dust cleared, the planet killer was gone, blown apart. The rest of the Zalari fleet paused, then turned away. They fled. The battle was over. Earth was safe, but at a terrible cost. Ethan was gone. So were hundreds of others. Heroes, soldiers, pilots, friends. Across the world, people wept. Across the colonies, people mourned. Even the alien rebels stood silent, because they knew. One man had changed the course of history, with one final act. The speech that changed everything. 3 days later, Lena stood in front of the cameras. She wore a black coat. Her face was tired, but her voice was strong. She looked into the lens. "I am Lena Carter," she said. "Commander of the Terran Defense Initiative." She paused. "We lost someone today. A leader. A fighter. A friend." She looked up. "Ethan Blake gave his life to save us all. But he also gave us something else. Hope." She raised a hand. "He told me once that we didn't grow in light. We grew in shadows. And look at us now." She looked around. "We are not just survivors. We are not just fighters. We are the future." She stepped forward. "To every species out there listening, we are Terra. We are not your enemies. We are not your slaves. We are your equals. And we will not hide again." Silence, then cheers. From Earth, from Mars, from the colonies, from alien worlds. The message had been sent, and the galaxy heard. A new era begins. In the years that followed, the war ended. Not because humans conquered, but because the truth was known. The Zalari Concord fell apart. Some members left, others tried to make peace. The Virex Dominion surrendered. The galaxy changed. New alliances formed. Humans were invited to join councils, to build trade routes, to explore, to learn, to grow, and, in schools across Terra, children learned the names of heroes, of soldiers who fought, of hackers who broke barriers, of leaders who rose from darkness. They learned about Ethan Blake, about Lena Carter, about Marcus Lee, Carlos Mendez, Deborah Ruiz, and all the others who stood tall, who fought hard, who believed. The final words: humanity grew in shadows. We were hidden, forgotten, watched, tested, told we were not ready. But we were. We always were. We rose when no one believed we could. We fought when others ran. We built when everything was broken. We found hope when there was none. And now we are among the stars. Not as victims, not as ghosts, as equals, As warriors, as dreamers, we are Terra, and we are here to stay.